people focus too much on winning. They don't focus enough on performing.
Oh yeah.
You know, so that's like exactly like as long as you're happy with your performance, you gave it your all. That's what matters, because you're not always going to win everything.
Today I'm joined with Deborah and Mike. Both of them are Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts and coaches. Mike, for how long coaching?
About 8 years.
8 years coaching.
About 7.
7, yeah. So that's a lot of experience in one table. And we'll be talking about all possible things because they are both pretty accomplished athletes as well on the highest possible level. And we'll talk about comp preparation, training, and whatever will come, we'll just roll with it. Yeah. To get a little bit better understanding for people who have no idea what Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu might be, by definition, when we talk about combatives and combative activities, we can draw a line between 3 main categories. One would be self-defense. That's self-defense systems that are basically no rules. Your job or your goal in there is just to protect yourself, run away. That might be like Krav Maga, Sistema, and these. Then we can have combative sports as a second category, which there are already certain rules, and it's mainly done for the purpose of the sport performance. That would be maybe box and maybe Thai box a little bit. And then we have martial arts, where they also have their sporting component, but there is also the philosophical part of it, right? Yeah. So where is BJJ sitting in this? That's the question already.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I always start the class at school for the introduction, so I have to tell them the story of BJJ, where it came from, and then I go like mainly for the 2 things. For the sports, yes, it's self-defense. I don't use much the philosophical because that's already kind of included when I talk about martial arts. And I have to tell them that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu came from Judo, yes, like as a derivative from Japanese Jiu-Jitsu. So I have to tell all the story, like how they made them brands, like Jigoro Kano, the founder of Judo, because it starts standing, yes. So it's a derivative from Judo, and then you have to continue the fight on the ground. And then that was adapted by the Brazilian for the Gracie family through whatever you have right now. So
do you know from the history what their intention was? Was it the sporty part or was it the self-defense part?
So the way it got from Japan to Brazil was Carlos Gracie's uncle that knew Mitsuo Maeda, and he brought him to Brazil to teach Carlos and Helio. And then once they adapted the sport and then they put it like their own twists on it and everything, the sport was anything but about respect. It was about going to every single gym and being like, our art is better than yours and our system works better than yours. So it's pretty much like dojo storming.
This is a little bit similar to how CrossFit started.
Yeah,
it was also proving the bodybuilders this what we do is better.
Yeah, exactly. So they would just go like gym to gym and then challenge like the instructors and all the people at the gyms, and then they would like assert dominance from their sport. And that was a way of like marketing that this works. And then after that, obviously UFC 1 is what put it onto the map.
Yes, but the adaptation from like to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is due to Hélio Gracie. Yeah, when he was trying the Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, and then he found out that it was kind of hard for him to adapt to the movements.
Can you say his name again?
Hélio. In Brazil, it says Hélio. Hélio Gracie.
That's where I'm confused.
Yes, it's like the story, younger brother of Carlos Gracie.
Okay.
So he was Carlos Gracie was teaching him the Japanese Jiu-Jitsu that he was learning from Mitsuo Maeda, but then Hélio found out kind of hard, so he tried to adjust the movements of the Japanese Jiu-Jitsu to suit his physique, his body type. So because he was skinny, he was lighter and weaker. Yes, and he tried to adjust the movements, creating all of the variations that we still use it right now in Jiu-Jitsu because of that difficulty for him to practice the Japanese movements. So that was the creation of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
All right. So would you consider that, or is it still taught with that original Japanese virtues behind it when it's derived from judo?
Yes, I came from judo actually.
Okay.
Yes, I had a transition because I was an athlete competing every weekend on judo. And then when I couldn't do in more like in a high level training, when I had to go to university, I had to reduce my level of preparation. So continue like, okay, if I cannot train at the same level, my results, they're going to go down. And then my professor at the time, my judo teacher, my sensei, he introduced me to my jiu-jitsu professor that is until today. And I was like, okay, so that's easier on the body because there's no such impact like in judo, like it's like really tiring. And when I decided to try jiu-jitsu, that's easier on me. I can handle the training from that because there's no such impact. It's on movements. They're like hard on the body.
Falling.
Yeah. There is falling as well.
But
yeah, you can use it there. Right? Yeah, I use that a lot. Like for me to do the transition, it's like okay, going from the top just mainly to continue the fight on the ground. It was special, but the movements, they're gentle on the body, involving more pressure. So like okay, that's more suitable for what I'm looking for, like forward right now for jiu-jitsu. And then you had the respect, the discipline, all the focus, all the good things. They're like involved in philosophy that it can be applied like day to day, not only on the dojo, out in the life as well.
So basically building characters as well.
Yes. I think martial arts for kids, I think is the best activity they could do in terms of learning and socializing and learning good things.
Good things.
Yeah, because to go off that, it's like it goes off of like it gives them structure if they don't have like structure at home or in school. Teaches them respect. Like with me, it was like I was super shy like growing up. So like actually like training got me to like open up from like that little bubble, and then teaching when I actually had to talk to everyone, that's what really got me to like be comfortable just like starting conversations, teaching, explaining. And then what helped me out a lot is I started teaching when I was a blue belt, and luckily like my professor at the time, like Homo Bahal, he always gave us the opportunity to teach. So it was always like me and like a few of my friends, like if he wasn't teaching the classes or if like Edwin, Gabriel weren't teaching the classes, it was always like us covering. And the one nice thing that he always told all the students, it could be a white belt, it could be a black belt, it could be a black belt world champion. He's like, whoever is running the class, you give them the same amount of respect as you give to me. So that was a little bit of like an issue when I started to come here, because then people started looking at me as like a brown belt. And then they're like, why is this guy teaching class over this guy? It's like, why is he
ego?
Yeah. So I was like, we're all here for the same goal. We're all here to help the students learn, build the community. Example, like Salam's gym is in a very like local community. So we're trying to grow the local jiu-jitsu scene in Dubai. So it's just what I was taught, like we were taught, is like just passing that on to like the next generation. It doesn't matter like who they are. And probably like one of the best things that I saw recently is because there's always the split between Brazil and America right now for jiu-jitsu or grappling. And then you literally have the two most hated guys training together right now, which is Nicholas Marigali, which is arguably the best guy in the gi. And you have Gordon Ryan, which is the best guy no gi.
I've seen the picture on the Instagram. Yeah. I didn't know the other guy. I knew the Gordon Ryan, but I didn't know the other
so
guy.
It's nice having like the community come together. And the hardest thing for people to understand is social media is all fake. So a lot of these guys you see on social media, they're actually really nice in person. So the thing
surprisingly,
some
to the picture on the social media.
Some people just like playing the bad guy.
It's just marketing.
Yeah, it's just marketing, and it sells. Like Conor McGregor is a good example. No one wants. It's like I think it was I forgot who was explaining it. It was on Joe Rogan. He's like, if I don't understand chess, I'm not going to be engaged. But if one player is talking shit to the other player, it's like the drama is going to get me engaged. So like drama sells. So unless you're like Khabib. You have to be either really good or you have to be really good at selling, you know? Because the average guys, the reason they don't make money is because they don't sell tickets.
There's not definitely as much money in BJJ
They need to be in
than
trends.
other combatants, right?
It's growing a lot more now. From like I'm assuming when we started to now, there's a lot more money into it if you're in like the top caliber. And there's a lot more opportunity now. There's a lot more tournaments that pay. There's a lot more tournaments that take care of the athletes. There's more money with sponsors. But it's not always about how good you are. It's about who you know as well.
As you're talking about this, there was a big transition. Maybe you can have a better insight into this. When judo was on Olympic Games, and eventually it did a huge transition, right? Because there was way more ground game in the judo before, but because it wasn't really fancy for spectators, they eventually started to do different point system and the big throws,
not attacking the legs.
So it just became way more interesting for the spectators.
So I was in judo when that transition came in. So that was about 2007, 2006. From 2006 to 2008. That was like one of my last years in high school. And I got into the tournament. Okay, they changed the rules.
Yeah.
So they have like a time limit for you to proceed with the game on the ground. And change the grips. You cannot attack using like the legs. They reduced the punctuation from Vazari, Yuko, and Ippon only. They removed Koka. That was the smallest they had before. And that was way more active.
Said, but...
Okay, so there is like the punctuation, the score system in judo before. So they reduced before there were 4, and they eliminated the smallest one, to make the game more attractive, more active. And then it was like crazy.
So maybe that's a little bit of not the problem, but that's why the growth might be a little bit slower also for money coming in, because how many people actually understand what is going on when two guys in pajamas are fighting each other on the ground.
Well, that's the thing too. It's like, I don't think Jiu-Jitsu would not anytime soon be in the Olympics. I could see the Nogi. The thing is, it's at that point, it's not really even grappling. It's not Jiu-Jitsu, it's more grappling. So ADCC is on the right path to take the sport into the Olympics. The only problem is our sport is still very young, and you don't have a lot of quality guys from many countries. So if you look at all the top guys, they're going to come from Brazil. They're going to come from America. You have a couple guys in like Sweden, Switzerland. Like Europe is very small on like quality of competitors. So until the sport grows to a point where there's at least one person from every weight division that could represent their country, I don't see it going to the Olympics.
Well, that's what they're trying to do here with the Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
Yes, here in the UAE. So they're trying to not have this split in the division of belts. So like one division only by weight and
just open belt.
Just open belt. Like the rules are the same, kind of like in judo. To be honest, when I was I stopped when I was like a green belt, and I was fighting brown belts, black belts, whatever, who was in the division. So that would make the sport like really interesting.
Talking about the belts, there is a little bit different approach than maybe the Japanese martial arts, where there is, let's say in karate, you need to be able to perform certain techniques, you need to be able to show certain proficiency, which is very well structured, right? But in BJJ, that's very open system, right?
You want to attack that one first? Because my opinion on that could be like pretty controversial.
The more controversial.
So we were never brought up with a belt testing program. My professors never believed in it. It's more of a money thing and a money scheme, because you pay for the belt test, you pay for the belt. If you could do A, B, C techniques, you get your next belt.
There is a belt test.
Some gyms have belt tests.
Oh, really? I'm lucky where I am.
The reason I don't agree with that is the best example was the reason I started training was because of my childhood friend, Edwin Najmi. So his whole thing was like, you have to be really good in like 2 moves from the bottom, 2 moves on top. Okay. The guy literally won every single tournament. Okay. So if you told him to teach me this from close guard, he would probably not know how to teach you. But the guy is a world caliber, top black belt competitor.
So basically what you're saying, he developed his own approach with a very limited amount of techniques to a point that he's beating everybody else, even though other aspects
are kind of
his
lacking.
Game are a little bit behind.
Yeah, it's more like you have to. It's like that's why when like we're doing classes, I emphasize I'll teach the technique in ABC. After that, it's your jiu-jitsu. Your body's different. My body's different. We all move different. Some people are shorter, stockier, taller, skinnier. So you have to adjust the technique accordingly to you. I'd like to take the back. You might not like to take the back. So I'll show you the pass. I'll show you exposing the back, exposing the side control. So I think adapting everything to your preference is going to be what's going to help you grow the most. I think you should know a basic understanding of all the techniques, but you don't need to know how to do all of them. As long as you know how to neutralize the position and obviously not get swept or tapped or anything like that, that's going to be more important than actually being able to hit the sweep or hit the submission. You know, so it's more understanding concepts than actual techniques.
Oh, yeah. That I really want to get into because I did a bit as part of my studies. I did a bit of all possible martial arts. Yeah. And what you are saying and how you are teaching it, I really find it super unique, and I believe in it as well from my coaching perspective, because that's how I'm trying to lead people to general movement. Okay. And that is that you don't need to teach, exactly as I said, you don't need to teach every single technique. You just teach the principle. The technique is wrapped around. Yeah. And that is mind blowing when you're on the mat and you just see all the options and possibilities just because you get to spend so much time in one specific position, either from the bottom or from the top, and you just exposed, and you'll progress to a different degree. It's like activating the right muscle, because if I will teach you how to activate the lats properly, I don't need to teach you how to do pull-up, I don't need to teach you how to do ring rows and so on and so on. That will all come automatically because you already know how to operate the muscle. So that's very cool. You were about to say something about the belts?
Oh yes, I forgot about that. I was just saying, like, I came from the same principle, but for judo, we do have like a test. There are certain techniques that you have to learn according to the belt ranking. And in Jiu-Jitsu, I never had like a test when I was transitioning from the belt, because you can have the background and only being an athlete for training, and you can have the status of a competitor. So based on like results as well. And I agree with you, like in the terms that you need to teach the concept of a position of a movement, and you adjust to adapt the position to what you can do or what you find it easier for you, because there's no like one certain way, absolute way of doing certain movements. Like my way, it might be good for me, but it might not be the best one for you. So you will try to adjust and check what works out for you, basically.
So very open system, right?
Yeah.
A lot of exploring for yourself.
Yeah.
If you try 1,000 times, it still doesn't work, probably not for you.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like I learned like a lot of techniques, but the ones that stuck like with me were the ones that I was mostly using because they were like my favorite, the ones I found like easy to practice.
And then you built around it.
Exactly. Yeah. So if you ask me like many things, I say I'm still learning. I don't know how to set up for this and that.
Yeah.
Because I don't use it much. I've seen it before, but I don't practice. So I'm still learning.
And that kind of goes off when you were talking about like people have egos. When I brought up like the whole teaching thing, it's like if I don't know something, I'm not gonna teach it to you. Like if one of the other guys knows it, I don't care if it's a blue belt that knows the technique better than I do. Example, it's like if you ask me to teach you worm guard stuff, I'm gonna be like, go ask Ali, but he's a blue belt, you know. But
he knows it.
But he knows the game, so it's like, why am I going to teach it to you? I'm probably going to teach it to you wrong, and I'm going to miss like steps in between. And then he's going to teach it to you like A, B, C to Z, you know? So I think that's like a really just putting your ego aside is like a really important thing in the sport for like just growth in general.
Yeah.
Mm.
There are approaches and approaches, but the curriculum, I think it's interesting having a curriculum to follow, depending on the group of people, like the age as well. So it's good to start from the basic and just progressing to go to an advanced level.
Build a foundation and then
Yes.
go off of that.
So I agree with having the techniques broken down, like with without an order, but I agree also with the concept of having a curriculum of teaching testing.
So a bit of everything.
Yes.
It's like the mix of our fundamental class and the mix of our advanced class.
Yes.
The way like we approach like teaching each class is completely different. For like fundamentals, we're just trying to teach them literally the foundation, so and then they can build off the foundation. By the time the guys, I'm not gonna say blue belt, but by the time you're at like purple, brown belt, you kind of have an idea of what you like doing, and then you start building around it. You know, so but that also goes on how you like to learn. You know, so it's like to go off the questions you always ask, is you always ask if example we're doing spider guard, if the guy steps over my leg, what do I do? So it's like we always have like the action reaction of the positions. So in my opinion, the easiest way to learn a position is learn it from top and bottom. If you know how to play the guard, you probably know how to pass the guard to a certain extent, because you know what the person on bottom wants to do. So you could avoid it to a certain extent.
So just basically like a chess, right? Getting to the head of the other guy.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Of course. We'll get there. We'll get to gender problems in the sport. I wanted to ask, so there are no definitely set any particular progressions like, okay, blue belt needs to do this, purple belt needs to do this, brown belt.
I think
it
Deborah
depends
put
on
it
the
best way.
gym. Yeah, it depends on the gym.
That's creating a lot of diversity, right? Because you can have a brown belt from some gym who is getting ass kicked from every blue belt from a different gym.
But that goes off of like what Deborah was saying too, is like there's two ways you promote people, is like hobbyists, people who train for fun, and then competitors. So you can't compare a competitive blue belt to just a family guy that got his black belt in like 10, 15 years, you know? So it's like, we used to have that problem like back home a little bit. One of my best friends, he was a black belt. He has 3 kids. He has a wife. He has responsibilities. I don't. My responsibility is to train, you know? So it's like, when I would do good, he would kind of like get upset. He'd be like, man, I feel like I suck, this and that. I was like, look, this is my job. This is your hobby. It's two different things. So you can't, when people are like, this happens a lot. I tell the students a lot. They're like, people would come into the gym. They'd be a purple belt, brown belt, whatever. They're like, I messed this guy up. Like, how? I was like, okay, but who did you mess up? Did you mess up a 40-year-old guy that trains 3 times a week? Or did you mess up a 20-year-old that's training 3 times a day? So it's two completely different things, you know?
Of course, yeah.
People, there are like different timings in their lives as
well. Yeah,
So
exactly.
you cannot just go
and
judge.
It's hard to compare, yeah.
Yeah, like if I go for some time, like off-season, when I go back to a gym, like, please go easy on me. I just got back training. You look at my black belt here, but you're going to be able to mess me up. If you are like a purple belt or blue belt in a rhythm of competition or something, you have the conditioning and you have you have all of the skills to beat me up in the particular day. So,
what is the season for BJJ? When you said off season, like where is the season starting?
It's
ending?
situational for everyone.
Yes.
Oh, okay, so you create your own season.
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
Cool.
Yeah, you could create your own circuit on what tournaments you're going to attack every year. Some people will only attack the no-gi circuit. Some people will attack the gi circuit. Some people will do a mix of both.
Are there, let's say, evenly spread around the year? Or there is like more tournaments in the summer, less tournaments?
They have different federations, so the calendar is very...
It's packed,
you can have like competitions every weekend if you wanted to.
If you have the means to travel, there's 5-10 tournaments every week. And I mean like the good tournaments. That's not even including like the small tournaments.
Okay.
Yeah, so
not the local ones. Like
not like the local ones.
Regional, national, international, so every level.
Like IBJJF has 3-4 tournaments a week all over the world. You know, so, and then the no-gi circuits they're usually like small companies that do like the super fights, and that's what's engaging a lot more people. Like my friends that don't do
Flow Grappling.
Flow Grappling is like the broadcasting company.
That's broadcasting.
Yeah, so it's Flow Sports, and they took on grappling. So that was like one of the best things that happened to Jiu-Jitsu.
Well, I know them only from Instagram, so
yeah.
I messed it up. Yeah,
you know, so them just like ADCC, in my opinion, like I'm a little biased because it's like my favorite tournament. It's like besides the IBJJF Worlds.
What ADCC stands for?
Abu Dhabi Combat Club.
Okay.
So that was started by, I don't know the exact date, so I don't want to give it. It's in the late 1990s by Sheikh Tanun. So he developed the ADCC tournament, and it happens every 2 years. So they'll do a trials. So right now we have a couple trials going on, and then the winners of the trials will fight the ADCC, and then there's people who would always also get invited.
Oh, okay. So
yeah.
for the invite. Oh,
yeah.
nice.
So you're not going to get like, sounds mean, but you're not going to get guys who suck at the tournament. Like if they got there, like they earned their spot.
Yeah.
You know, there's obviously the guys you know who are going to win, but there's no one there that's bad.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a very like high level. But they're gonna have the second trials in Brazil this weekend.
Yeah.
In São Paulo, they had one last weekend
yeah,
in
last week.
Florianopolis, and now they are going to have this one here.
Yeah.
I don't like fighting no-gi.
Yeah.
Like I've always trained jiu-jitsu and judo, but sometimes there are some no-gi tournaments included with the gi, and my professor just say, just go.
Yeah.
You know? Like, okay, I don't even like training that much, no-gi, because sweat.
Okay,
it's a different level.
Yes.
I mean, like you don't
The
like
contact
because
yes.
because the contact is disgusting, or because it's just different.
Particularly, personally, it's just disgusting.
It's like you both jumped in the pool.
Yeah, because the way of the grip is different. There's no grip.
Yeah.
The contact is different, so there's always people slapping each other and slippery, and it's way more active.
Yeah.
It's more violent, I would say.
It's more spectator friendly.
Yeah.
You know, so a lot of my friends went to ADCC 2019. None of them trained, but they were so excited. They're like, man, this is amazing. This is sick. Did you see these
Just
fights?
take part, yeah.
Yeah. But then if you get the same guys to go to the IBJJF Gi Worlds, even though it's the most prestigious gi tournament, and you see people butt scooting and like playing touch butt, then they're like, what the hell is this? You know, so the no-gi is going to be more exciting for spectators. The gi, unless you understand jiu-jitsu, like if I wrap a lapel around you, you know what I'm doing. The average person doesn't.
Well, for me, that's the worst part.
Yeah.
I mean, like when I really know that something's going to happen and I don't know what that is. Something's coming and all the energy is just going from whatever you're doing. I don't know what you're doing, but I'm just trying to prevent it because it's not going to end up well. Yeah. So yeah, all the sleeves, it's just way too much.
Yeah,
just
it's different.
Lapel sleeves, everything, all the grips. Guys, what is the best strength and conditioning for BJJ, and what you used on your peak?
I mean,
well, you are on your peak as well right now, so
you would understand this from like a coaching perspective. It's like it's subjective because everyone will react different to different like modalities of training. So for me, I prioritize training jiu-jitsu ideally twice a day, and then I'll work out 3 times a week. And my workouts would always be, one day would be a squat push-pull, another day would be a deadlift push-pull, and the third day would be more of a power day of like throwing balls, slams, carries.
So a lot of functional stuff and pretty much well-rounded and balanced.
Correct. For every push, I have a pull.
Okay.
You know, so trying to mimic jiu-jitsu. So for every dumbbell press, I have a dumbbell row. For every bent over row, I have a push-up, and so on and so forth. I believe in what works for me is I like progressive loading. So I'll start my deadlift, for example, I'm going to go off pounds because it's easier. I'll start it off at like 10 sets of ideally 10 reps. I'll start at 135, go up to 185, 205, 225, 65, 315 until I hit my 10 sets.
That's in one day?
That's in a span of like 10 minutes. Yeah, so it'll be, but you're not going to hit 10 reps by the time you're at like 405, 425. So it'll usually be like 10, 10, 10, 6 to 8, 6 to 8, 4 to 6, until we get to 4 or 5. And then it'll be accessory work and then stability work. I prioritize a lot of rehab, and people who've like worked out with me understand that it's like, it looks easy, it looks stupid, but it's like the most challenging things.
Like balancing or rotational stuff.
Yeah, anti-rotational stuff,
Okay.
Rotational work, doing single leg RDLs on like a foam pad, you know, so on unstable surfaces, trying to mimic like how you're going to move in the sport.
So that's where I'm getting to. You are trying to do the most beneficial movement for you.
Correct.
Even it's in the gym, not an academy, but in the global gym or CrossFit gym, you're still trying to mimic the movements that you are going to do there or compensate for them.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then
you said you do this 3 times a week?
3 times a week.
Plus, on top of it, you have another 14 trainings a week?
2, 4. It would be like 10 to 12. Yeah.
Okay.
So ideally, I like training twice a day, every day. If I don't have that, then I'll work out and train. So if for some reason, like Thursday, we don't do a 12 o'clock class, I'll work out and then I'll train at night. So every day is minimum twice, whether it's 2 jiu-jitsu sessions or a workout jiu-jitsu. But the days I usually work out is I'll work out, I'll train in the afternoon, like our 12 o'clock class, and then I'll train at night.
I want to ask how you fuel this, how you fuel all of this, and we'll get to nutrition with that. First, we'll need to answer the question as well.
Okay. Until I arrived here, I had only Jiu-Jitsu preparation. I would go to the gym, but I didn't like it.
You mean arrived here, UAE?
Yes.
And that was when?
2015.
2015. Okay.
So prior to that, I was just using Jiu-Jitsu, mostly, like training twice a day. But I didn't like physical preparation, like for strength conditioning. And that's something I'm starting to study right now because I'm curious about to learn how to perform better, train smarter without overusing my body. Because I think I'm getting old and I'm feeling tired. So I want to adjust.
I don't know anybody who's getting younger.
But I'm feeling old, so I just want to see what's like the best approach to work with my body. I didn't do like deadlifts or squats and everything, like nothing of that. I'm just using jiu-jitsu training for everything. And now I'm just trying to figure out what I can do to improve my power. Yeah, if I'm not having the same rhythm of training, like I'm working all day, so how can I just adjust my energy levels through the day for training jiu-jitsu or one day training or going to the gym, jiu-jitsu, going to the gym because I don't have all the time in the world. Yeah.
So it's just maximizing.
Balance. Yes, I'm just trying to see what adjusts better for me.
Mike, you are also like certified strength and conditioning coach or something
like
that, yeah.
So I got my NASM and ISSA, so I could like coach people back home. But mainly, I wasn't really doing that much like strength or conditioning, anything like that. My main job was to work with people who were coming off like injuries or surgeries. So a majority of our clients were either elderly people or it was like NBA, NFL guys that off season, they're just trying to get their body right for the season. So I'll just aid them in either prehabbing, rehabbing, or getting their body right so they could perform once their season starts. So a lot of my knowledge came from just learning from people who obviously know a lot more than me and not mainly through like the books and everything like that. Because I would always just ask, it's like, why are we doing this? Like, what does this help?
So you see somebody doing something that works for them, approach them.
Yeah, if it's working for you, it's not working for me. Like example, like Deborah was saying she didn't work out as much, before she came here. I don't think everyone needs to work out for jiu-jitsu. I think your main focus should be jiu-jitsu. But the thing is, I don't recommend people to work out to just get stronger. I recommend them to work out to prevent injuries.
At what ratio? Now, disregarding injuries, at what ratio you would say, let's say you have 70-30 jiu-jitsu versus the other stuff. You had 100% jiu-jitsu. Yeah, before.
Yeah, before.
What is the lowest percentage you would go for jiu-jitsu?
For training, I'll tell people to train at least 3 times a week, like minimum 3 times.
Okay, I mean, when you have supplementary strength and conditioning program,
Okay.
how would you divide it? Like, what is the lowest time you want to spend on the mat, and what is the rest for the strength?
You actually use like the perfect word. So it's like the working out is a supplement to your jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
So your priority is to train as much as you can, and then on your free time, work out. You know, whether it's a workout, whether it's rehab, whether it's mobility, it's yoga, whatever you like doing that keeps you healthy for jiu-jitsu. It's the same way if we get into nutrition, it's going to be supplements are called supplements for a reason. They supplement your diet. So that doesn't mean stop eating real food and start drinking protein shakes and you're going to get huge. You know, so that's the one thing that I was always taught from an early stage was if you want to get better at jiu-jitsu, train more. You know, so you don't need to work out. It's like train 3 times a day instead of twice. You know, get more mat time and train when you're tired, because that way you can't rely on your strength, your power, your explosiveness. So your technique improves.
Isn't the volume after a certain degree a little bit counterproductive?
It just depends on how you're training. I don't believe anyone could train 3 times a day hard. Okay. But you could have one hard...
I think that's a very, very important point on this one. Because
so when people say they train 3 times a day, it's easy on Instagram to be like, this guy's sparring 30 rounds a day. In reality, they're going to have one hard training session, they're going to have a drilling session and maybe a specific training session, or they're studying and that's training in itself. You know, so it's about, you're not trying to trash your body. You're trying to get the most out of your day so you could continue it on the rest of the week.
Yes, I agree partly with that because, like, with my experience and background, I was training when there was like competitions in season. I would go training in the morning hard, and then I would go in the evening training hard as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's like your preparation because you need to expose yourself to the more similar scenario to a competition. You're gonna have to last.
The fatigue.
The fatigue, all the conditioning strength. So you need to. Even the time of the day, depending on where your fight is, when your fight is, in the morning or in the afternoon. So you need to kind of create the scenarios, for that. So I would train hard in the morning and then I would train hard in the evening. Yeah. So I would have the time during the day for studying or whatever other activity I was doing to rest my body. But in between seasons, like in competition season, you train hard. More than once. Like 5 days a week.
The average like jiu-jitsu competitor, it's 2 hard trainings a day, 5 days a week. That's like the bare minimum that you're gonna get from like the top guys. You know.
When you said that part of the preparation is also studying, is that watching the videos, watching the other guys, watching the manuals, how to do the technique?
It's gonna be a mix of everything. I believe in like studying your opponent to a certain extent. I don't overanalyze my opponents because then what ends up happening is I end up having a mental block where it's like this guy is good at A, B, C. And then my whole mindset when I'm approaching the fight is avoid these positions. So I don't believe in that too much. I believe on like just understanding where the guy is good and strong. But it doesn't matter who's in front of me. I'm applying my game. So it's going to be I'm doing ABC. I'm not worried about what he's doing. The way he reacts, I just react off his reactions.
At what level is actually studying your opponent possible? Okay, so if I will sign up now for a tournament, I really doubt I can find even the names of the opponents. And if so, probably not enough material to study them. Right? So at what level you get to a point like you have a tournament in 2 days, right?
Yeah.
Do you know your opponents, right?
I know one of them.
You know
because I've trained with them. So it's a nice like mental edge over there too. That's why it's like I like training a lot or having people come in and train, because at black belt everyone's gonna fight everyone. You know, at blue belt, purple belt, brown belt, it's like you could have the best guy in the division, and then he loses first fight. But you know,
didn't happen to me.
But it happened. It's like you're gonna fight the best guy first fight or last fight, you know. But the best guy is not the guy who's ranked number 1. The best guy is the one who wins the tournament in that day. You know, like to go off of like personal experiences, I've beat guys where, in my opinion, they're way more technical than I am. But that day was just my day, you know. Or it's like that day I was maybe like on point more than they were, or I was more aggressive than they were. I wanted it more. So there's a lot of variables that play into it, because it's like the CrossFit Games, so you know who might win, but someone might come and just
last 6 years it was very obvious.
Yeah,
but that's that's very very specific to CrossFit.
Yeah.
It's fun. Can I talk?
You can talk. Yeah. Say whatever.
I'm just saying because just bring me a lot of memories from the color belts. A lot of like the big names right now.
Color belts?
Color belts.
Oh, that's what you call us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Inferior people.
White to brown.
Okay, yes. When I was competing like a color belt, like starting with the blue belt, basically I don't remember many people from my white belt time. So from the blue belt, a lot of the famous girls, like the world champions right now, they would be in my division. So sometimes there were a lot of talks. Okay, so we have the best ones in my division. What I'm going to do? How I'm going to prepare for that? Yeah. So I fought like Tayane Porfirio, like she's a heavyweight. Natiele.
Yeah.
Bia Mesquita, every time she comes here.
Yeah, every single tournament.
I go like first time with her just to say I signed up for the division because she lives for training. That's her job, but I still like the adrenaline. But okay, I set up my mind saying, they have good jiu-jitsu. I have no obligation. I'm going to try my best. Whatever happens, happens.
Yeah.
I want to win absolutely, but, if it doesn't happen, I'm not going to cry for it. Yeah. Sometimes. If you
it's not bad. Crying is healing. Sometimes it's okay to cry as well.
People focus too much on winning. They don't focus enough on performing.
Oh, yeah.
So that's like exactly like, as long as you're happy with your performance, you gave it your all. That's what matters, because you're not always going to win everything.
Yeah, that's a lot of mindset from a lot of CrossFitters as well. Like beating Matt Fraser was nearly impossible. Because he did absolutely everything, and he did it. I'm not saying 100% right, but he did it
almost flawlessly.
Almost flawless for 5 straight years. So at that moment, when he's on the competition, like, you have very low chance of actually winning, but you can still do the best.
Your best. As a personal marks. Yeah.
That's how also training should be, right?
Yeah.
It's not about tapping people and not about beating everybody around. It's just doing your best, what you can in that moment, right?
Yeah. And I've had like students and I've had friends where it's like, I tapped this guy. Why did he get a stripe? I didn't. So it's more like, okay, look, you tapped him, but do you smash him? Like, do you dominate the round? There's a different. Everyone gets tapped, but do you understand on how to control someone? Because the controlling, the position is going to lead to
this. It's like, I almost choked you last week.
Yeah.
And what that means, right? Absolutely nothing.
So,
it's, and especially if it's a specific training and I'm getting like, position that is, tapping. I should tap you at that position. So, when we were talking about how BJJ is the open system, how both of you basically you kind of agree on how to approach coaching in the meaning of giving people an option to figure out the technique for themselves and so on. Especially for you, Mike, because you are really into rehab, strength and conditioning. Doesn't this freedom lead to more imbalances?
It's just going to be on. I'm not going to tell people who don't have like a understanding of what they're doing to just do whatever and explore and build their own game. So it's kind of like what Deborah was saying, is like have them build a foundation and then we could branch out from the foundation.
So that's happening after a certain degree. Yeah?
If you don't know how to retain the guard, control the guard, and pass the guard, I can't tell you how to do like the following movements because it just doesn't make sense. So I think having an understanding of how to keep your guard, retain it when person's passing, recover it, understanding frames and hip movement, and then having them explore a little bit and building their own game is, I think until blue belt, people should just focus on like the basics, like building a solid foundation.
So there it's drilling, learning the technique the correct way, and then you can...
It's also like drilling properly. Because you could drill random stuff that does not make any sense. You could drill stuff that you're just drilling to drill, but is it like, are you progressing in what you want to do?
I used to do in years ago when I did the BJJ and MMA before. We used to do okay, you do 100 arm bars now.
Yeah.
We never do that.
But are you doing like 100 perfect arm bars?
Yeah, exactly. Right?
That's the
like
thing.
How perfect it is when people are even deconditioned, they can't even breathe through that. It's already a cardio workout for them.
Yeah.
And it's...
But this is like just to keep your mind set for the movement, so you can practice, even if it's not perfect, when you need it, like automatically, you know what the position is.
Yeah.
So you know what the movements you need to do to get into that. And I forgot what I was about to say.
I think on that one, it's more just...
about the drilling properly. But it also depends on who you're training with. Because
your drilling partner
like your partners, so they
Yeah.
count a lot. It's not just about learning the concepts of the technique, but also how you practice and who are you practicing with. Because you have people from different ages, different conditioning status, weights, people moving like slower and different. So how you're going to approach that, you need to go training.
Yeah.
So you can find out how to react to different people, different stimulus.
As you tapped on the training partners, I experienced both of the situations I will describe. And so what do you think is better, to have training partners that are way better than you, or training partners who you can really smash? For example, George St. Pierre was always saying, like, he always liked, especially towards the fight. As the fight was getting closer, he really liked to have somebody who he can play with. Because when you have somebody who you can play with, you are not scared to experiment.
Exactly.
Yeah. But for me, that also happens with you guys. With, like, now everybody who I'm training with is basically like way higher skill, longer in the game, for sure. So it's the same thing. Like, I'm not scared to experiment because there is no ego. Like, I don't care if I get tapped because I know I will. It's just a matter of time. So is it... So what would you say?
I think you should have 3 types of rounds. You have the guys who are better than you, which your defense is going to get better. You're just like defending, trying to recover, trying to survive. You have the guys you're smashing, which your offense is going to get better, your confidence is going to get better. And then you have the guy where you're like head to head, like you have a war with. And that's going to be like more like your mental training, your conditioning. Like, it's going to be the training that's actually going to kill you the most. So a lot of people only pick people they could smash, and then they're never in compromised positions. Joe Rogan said it best: if you're a blue belt and you're only training with black belts and you're getting messed up 24/7, you're never going to get good, because you're never able to actually attack. You're just getting wrecked the whole time.
Yeah, that's what happens when I go training.
I feel the same.
It's everything in life. It's a healthy balance.
Yeah. You have high skilled people, like way stronger sometimes, and then you like, okay, you learn the technique, but you find it hard to apply during the drill, the sparring, because sometimes you just get people that are way too good for you to have some time or space, or some room for your own technique. Okay, how do I know if this is gonna work? Because I don't have the chance of doing that in the training. So that's why you can grow, like regress a little bit, to get someone that you find it easier. Yeah, I can say there. Okay, I can play around, so I can check if I can get the tempo of the technique at least. Okay, I might not have to adjust it, but just to get into it, that's good for me.
And that's what we go over a lot is you're not focused on passing the guard, you're focused on getting to the position you could pass from.
Yes.
So like getting into your comfort zone, and then if you get here, you're passing or you're sweeping or
step by step.
Yeah, step by step.
Because that's what happens in competitions. You can try to predict, but you actually don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Everyone's going to react different. Everyone's going to react.
So what are your options?
Yeah. Basically having the most possible options for yourself.
Yeah.
To pick from.
You build a system, but if things don't go accordingly to what you're accustomed to, like we say, it's like you train with white belts, they react wrong. But sometimes they'll beat you because they're not supposed to react like that.
Yeah.
So it catches you off guard. Yeah. So it's like, you're not supposed to do that, but it worked. So it's having an understanding of like the technique is the mindset I try to carry is I want to do this, but if it doesn't work, I'm going to do whatever it takes to win. So you can't always focus on, I'm going to go spider guard, I'm going to sweep, he resists, I'm going to triangle, he does that.
Even it means just using your force.
Yeah, honestly, sometimes it's just like, you literally have to say like, F the technique, I need to win. you know.
Yeah.
So
to this note, you're always just giving good passes here for the good questions. It's often presented that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a form of martial art where smaller and weaker can defeat the bigger and stronger guy.
Mm-hmm.
How much does this apply?
To a certain extent.
Yeah.
Yeah. To go off that, I'm pretty sure Deborah could explain better than I can. But it's, if you're like a blue belt, you're a purple belt, you could defend yourself against a bigger, unskilled opponent. Yeah. But let's say let's talk about like the black belt level. You get someone like Bushesha, which is 265 pounds. And then you get someone like, I don't know, me, for example, I'm 170 pounds. We could be equally skilled, but who do you think is going to win? You know, so at a certain point, weight, size plays a huge difference.
Okay, so there's probably not metric you can put on this, but of course, if the skill is the same, the strength and the size wins.
Yeah,
right.
Who's in better shape?
Yeah. But at the same time, I have a great experience with Mosquito, right?
Yeah,
like he's on a good day. In a gi, 62 kilos?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was 95.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I said,
still wasn't really working.
You have the other skills as well, you know, just like a speed, agility, power, and the favorite techniques that can work really well against you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No? You can have people beating you from ways you don't expect.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Well,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So that can be like true to a certain level. Like that's why you have the open class divisions and tournaments. Yeah. I love to fight the open class division because like there was no responsibility. I would just go for fun.
Yeah.
And sometimes it worked, you know, because I wanted to check, okay, how do I do against someone that is heavier than me, like apparently stronger than me? Is there any way that I can win? So let me try myself, like test myself.
What is your weight division? What is your weight division?
Right now.
Okay, it's not a right question for
but
a girl.
No, it's okay.
You don't have to say the weight, just say the name of it.
Yeah, before I was fighting a feather division, and now I think I'm lighter, medium.
Well, light sounds good. Sure.
Yes, it's okay. Not really specific.
So there is still a lot of, I mean...
The divisions are different,
but especially for girls, like, there's probably not that many big girls. Or?
No, right now, that's what I'm saying. I started Jiu-Jitsu when I was 15, so that was like 15 years ago. And I was the only girl at the gym. So for a long time, there were only few girls at the tournaments. That's why I would put myself in the open class because it was hard to find someone the same weight as me.
And you want more fights.
Yes, and I wanted fight. So I would just put myself in the open classes. But with time, during the color belts, more girls, they were joining the sport and just make the divisions really hard. Yeah, but we have like girls that can go from really light, like the rooster, and then super heavy, ultra heavyweight.
Okay. Well, especially here, right? Like, there's so many of you.
Yes.
Like, I would say Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu competitors, like, the second biggest concentration after Brazil, it's here, right?
I would say it's
US.
America.
Yes.
It's US?
Yeah.
And then
US.
Here.
Yeah. I would say it would go, like, California, New York, Florida, and then Texas. So
Texas is growing right now.
Yeah, Texas is growing right now. But California is probably like the home of jiu-jitsu in the US. You know?
Yes.
You know, so you have all the best guys. Like I want to say 75% of the best guys are in California. The other ones are spread out everywhere else in the US, and then you have a handful back in Brazil. You know, but majority of the guys, like, they're in.
We export people.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. Towards the injuries, are there common injuries that are happening more often than others? What is the usual messed up part of the body, and how often it happens?
I want to say like ankles. Honestly, in like 8-9 years of training, I had one surgery, like one bad injury. So it's like there's a difference of like I say like being hurt and being injured.
Yep.
Being injured is like you need surgery. You're messed up. Being hurt is like you have aches and this hurts.
Well, that happens. That happens on the soccer. That happens everywhere. Right? Like you pull something, you strain something. That's like
statistically speaking,
right?
there's more injuries in football, American football, basketball than there is in jiu-jitsu. We're in a more controlled environment. You'll see like obviously like ACL tears, but it's not as common as those sports. Yeah, you'll see shoulders. Probably the most common one is going to be like ankles and elbows from like arm bars and arm bars, foot locks. You know, the things that are going to break the easiest.
For jiu-jitsu, the common injuries there are on the knees, shoulders, and back. A lot of people have like back issues.
Back issues?
Yes,
well,
because
when
you
I was
have the
training
concepts of playing guard, because you have to exercise your core and the movements, rotations and everything else, putting loads when you do like a wrong movement, and you have to control someone else's weight as well with speed, so you can have a lot of back injuries. Disc, like disc as well, but most like knees and shoulders, back.
The worst back pain I've experienced was more from wrestling, because you're just constantly like snapping. Snapping, sprawling.
And you have that in jiu-jitsu too.
You did wrestling before or through jiu-jitsu?
So we wrestled from 2013 to 2015, 16-ish. It was the worst like 2-3 years of my life, because jiu-jitsu is, the way I like to explain it, like some people get pissed, it's lazy wrestling.
Okay.
I'm trying to control someone without exerting as much energy.
It's hurting her pride now.
No, it's not, because I think I commented before. I told you I came from judo, yes?
Yeah.
So judo was impacting
Way
the body
more
all the time. And I was kind of lucky coming out of judo without any injuries. Yes. Almost all of my friends, like really high levels, they had like knees messed up, shoulders messed up, every part of the body, they would have something aching. Yeah. So when I transitioned to jiu-jitsu, I was like, thank God. Yeah, like, thank God. Yes. But I never had any surgery. The worst thing that happened to me with jiu-jitsu was one of my tendons, like my shoulder. And that's it. I had like a sprain on my knee a couple of times, but nothing major. Yeah. Never broke anything.
Yeah.
Mike, you had ACL tear?
Yeah, that was partially my fault, not just like, because my opponent wasn't trying to hurt me in that way. He was just trying to go for like a basic single leg X sweep. And like I said, it's like I tried to turn and then kick my foot out. And as I did that, he ripped my heel. So my body was
basically, to explain it, he was pulling to one side.
And then my body was going the other way.
Corrected to the other side.
Yeah.
It was an accident.
Yeah, pretty much. But like, I mean, that's the whole point of like tapping. It's like, if you're going to get hurt, it's usually going, to a certain extent, it's usually going to be on you. It's like, how much are you going to let your arm go? How much are you going to let your foot go?
Ego.
Yeah. And I've said this a lot. Let's say it's like the world championship final and I'm winning. And the guy's like foot locking me. I'll let him break my foot. I don't care, because I'm going to win. And then I'll just rehab my foot the next like few weeks, month, whatever it is, But
legacy.
Yeah. But at the same time, I don't tell people, I'm like, look, if you're losing, I'm like, you're already losing. Might as well not be
physical integrity first.
So you can lose with broken foot or lose without the broken foot.
Choose. Regardless, like you're losing, so why get hurt in the process?
Yeah, we can't just talk about the Meow brothers.
Yeah, like
they don't have any ligaments or whatever working.
Yeah, like their whole mindset is kind of like the samurai mindset. It's like to kill or be killed. So they literally won't tap to anything. Like tear their knees, tear their ankles, their arm, like they literally would not tap
giving
to
up.
Yeah. So they're probably like some of the toughest guys you'll see in like the sport in terms of like getting tapped and stuff like that.
Well, being brave and being stupid, there is no fine. There's no even line. It's just
it depends on who you are and what you want, what you're willing to give up from.
Look, like if it's by choice and they are aware of the risk and they're choosing that way.
Yeah, it's like a personal choice. Yeah. But here we have to protect the kids at every level.
Yeah, well, of course.
Like safety first.
What age are you teaching?
I teach from grade 5 now to grade 12.
That's what is grade 5? Like
8, 17, yes. 8, 9, 17.
Okay, yeah. Like preteens, teens.
And you teach them this at school?
Jiu-Jitsu. But yeah, we have to protect them. Like it's a safe environment. It needs to be like a safe environment in the first place.
How many kids do you have on the class?
It depends because it's optional. So they choose if they want to participate in Jiu-Jitsu or not. Some classes we have from 6 to 8, but it can go up to 20 or whatever. So it depends on the number of the students they want to participate. Yeah.
How easy it is to manage 20 teenagers in a Jiu-Jitsu class?
Depends on the teenagers.
It depends. Yeah.
Mike, you can tell the story. You can tell the story with the boy. Please.
I've been teaching kids since like literally blue belt, and I thought I've seen it all. Like I've had kids that would accidentally like poop their pants, and then we would have like a clump on the ground. I was like, so I've seen that aspect. I've had kids like pee themselves. Recently I had a kid.
This is not, just to clarify, this is not because they were in pain or something. It's just a natural.
No, maybe they'd like try to push a little too hard. And slid, you know.
Okay.
You know?
There's the core strength.
Yeah. You know. So little things like that happen. The most recent one, the funniest one, is I had a student actually like strip down and then, you know, take his stuff out, and then that was a little awkward. So I've seen a good amount.
He was pretty young though, right?
He was 6.
Okay. 6.
Yeah. Okay. Kind of like old enough.
I'm not saying that's an
Still
excuse for anything.
Yeah, still a kid.
Still a kid.
Like,
sometimes
I've had friends who've done it in their friggin' like 15s to like 25s. But
I've seen a guy putting his pants down, shorts down, and going to do back squats. Just to entertain the rest of the gym. Okay, so
where was that?
I'm not doing
it.
No, it wasn't
me. But I was like, okay, do that at home, or like do it in a different setting. It just looked bad because we had like 10 kids.
But when you think about it, he probably just wanted your attention, you know?
Yeah,
It's sweet.
It's one way. It got everyone's attention. That's for sure. I definitely did not know how to react on that one. You know?
I've got students who like crying for attention in different ways. Not like that. Yeah.
Do you teach guys as well, or
no? Only girls. Only girls. Only local girls.
They are not doing this.
No. But you have some students with different levels of learning.
Yeah.
So that's when you have to kind of like separate how you deal with the class.
You teach them and everything.
Yeah. So when you have a full class, like 15 plus students, and then you have like 2 or 3 that need more attention than the others. So you need to kind of have a good posture on how to include everyone.
Approach the techniques, yeah.
Yes. It's complicated sometimes. But
it's like that with adults too.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I'm a very hard learner, for example. So the way like she probably teaches the same way I do is like I try to dumb it down as much as possible that even like the newest person could understand the technique.
Very basic.
Yeah. Like I could make I'd like to think I could make you do a complicated technique or position by breaking it down in a simple way of explaining. And I think that was like, I forgot who the famous person was on the quiz. I think it was Albert Einstein, where you truly understand something if you could explain a very complicated situation to someone in a very simplified way.
Well, basically, yeah, that's the Einstein quote.
Yeah.
If you can't explain it to 3 years old, you don't understand it well enough.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know.
Mike, about your food and all of that stuff, like you are actually in a reduction diet right now, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. How much do you lose for your weight category? How you do it? How is it different? We don't have to go to like numbers and calories, but just general idea.
I don't really. The diet thing is like I try not to label the diets because I've tried like paleo, intermittent fast, whatever. Like intermittent fasting is something I stick to since 2013, 14. But that being said, it's like we've done paleo, we've done this. I think what works for me is a high protein diet, low carb, moderate fat. If I feel depleted, I'll have more carbs. Even if I'm cutting weight, I'll have more carbs just so I could fuel out the week. And then it's just going to be like the quality of calories you're taking in, like we always talk about. But when I get closer to like tournaments, I'll usually go pescatarian. So it'll mainly be seafood and then a lot of veggies, little bit of white rice. That would pretty much like be my carbs. So
when you say high protein, how much protein?
it would be about like almost twice my body weight. So like anywhere from
Okay, in pounds or in kilos?
in pounds.
So 170,
Yeah.
let's say,
So-
times 2.
Times 1.5, 1.75.
Oh, that's a lot.
So I'll have maybe anywhere from like 225 grams of protein to like 300 grams. But we're jiu-jitsu guys, like we can't eat that much because then we can't train. It's like if you eat so much, you feel bloated.
I honestly
Yeah.
cannot imagine how I would get even 200 grams of protein to me. I mean, I just find protein generally a little bit
It's harder to get in.
Harder to
Yeah,
get
yeah.
in. And I did my fats and all of that through like heavy cream because they just
It's
goes in.
easier to get.
It's
it goes
easier
down.
to get in. But like I'm definitely not more than 1 gram per body weight.
Yeah, I'm usually and when you're
And you
bigger,
are basically tripling that.
but the thing is, it's like the weight difference too. It's like I weigh 170 pounds, you weigh 190 pounds.
Yeah.
So even though it's
Okay.
only a 20-pound difference, that's going to be 40 extra grams.
Yeah.
So your intake versus my intake is going to be different. What I'm burning versus what you're burning is different.
For sure.
Our days, our quality of sleep, quality of like life in general.
All
So
the factors.
yeah, there's a lot of factors that goes into it. Like paleo, for example, it's the easiest way to get calories in because it's a lot of fat. But for me, it spiked up my blood pressure and my cholesterol. So I stopped doing it. I was also doing it wrong because I was eating a ton of steak and bacon with like every single meal. So it was a little excessive.
So like morning, lunch, evening.
Morning would be like 3-4 eggs, bacon, avocado, and then lunch would be like a massive steak with butter, garlic, avocado, bacon. So it was just way too much fat.
Mm-hmm.
I felt great. Like I looked good, but then when I got my blood work done, my doctor's like, "What are you doing? Stop doing it." So
Whatever that is.
just stop. Yeah. And that's the thing. It's you could look good, but you could look good, feel good, but that doesn't mean you're eating right.
For sure.
So that's why I believe like people should get blood work at least 2-3 times a year, just to like have a balance of like where you're at.
I mean, I have to say, I was on a very, very high fat period, maybe past. I stopped in like December because I couldn't take it. I couldn't physically take it anymore.
You look smaller.
Thank you. That's what guys like to hear. Definitely.
Yeah, from an imagine.
I don't even
shrink.
I don't even want to say it because some people will be like, "Oh, how is it that easy for you?" But I lost 8 kilos in 3 weeks, just not overeating.
Yeah.
But I was doing 6 to 1,000 milliliters of heavy cream every day on top of food. Just to get the calories because there was my only way how I could ever gain. I'm a hard gainer. Like when I came to BJJ, it was May last year.
Yeah, you were bigger.
I was at that peak where I was like, I was just like way bigger than I ever thought I can be. Yeah, that was my way of experimenting with.
Yeah,
I was still training 2-3 times a day, so it wasn't fat, only fat. But since then, like in 3-4 weeks, I lost 8 kilos, but I feel stronger.
Yeah, you're more efficient.
Even the weight, exactly. I feel way lighter and everything.
Yeah.
I got my blood work after all this period done as well, and no problem with cholesterol, nothing. Yeah. After a year of pounding liter of heavy cream, I was still very well maintaining all the ranges.
And I think it plays a lot on genetics on that too. Because cholesterol, blood pressure, and diabetes runs on my mom's side of the family.
Genetics.
Yeah. So.
Well, we can argue about that.
I'm Armenian. We have the worst genetics. So it's like I have to be very mindful of what I do because I don't want my numbers to go up that high. My doctor almost got me on, I think, Lipitors for cholesterol. So he's like, take this, get your cholesterol down, then stop taking it. I was like, okay, so I threw it away and I just ate more dark leafy greens, more vegetables, more chia, hemp, flax seeds. And then my cholesterol went down. He's like, okay, good. You could stop taking the meds. I was like, I never did, So I'm
good way to trick him.
Yeah. So I'm a firm believer of medicate through nutrition, not through pills.
Yeah.
So I try to avoid pills as much as possible. Like even for knee surgery, I took Percocet like 3 times, and I was like, I can't deal with this because like it made me feel like shitty. It made my stomach hurt. I was like, I'll just deal with the pain.
I had a classmate from my uni, and he went through either meniscus repair or ACL tear, and he was given the pills.
And he got addicted.
No. It wasn't painkillers. It was against blood clot.
Okay, yeah.
And he didn't take it.
Yeah, you were telling me about this one.
And,
I remember. He passed away. Yeah,
he passed away because. So maybe it's also
to a certain extent.
Radical.
I'm definitely not pro pills for everything. Like
there's a time and place for everything.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but also kind of having some background knowledge before you do informed decision. Don't just do decision. Do informed decision. Yeah. So.
That one's probably going to be more important because, like, on the blood clot situation,
you're not going to avoid it.
That's going to be more important than obviously taking a painkiller. You know,
when you said about the blood pressure, I have to definitely say that I don't know my blood pressure through that whole diet period, but I'm pretty sure that my resting heart rate
was way higher.
Improved by 15 points just in that 3 weeks.
Yeah,
I was still at like 60, 65, but now I'm low 40s. So it's there was, again, with no extra effort, just not drinking heavy.
Just losing
with
the weight.
everything.
Yeah.
And how have you been reducing the weight?
I tried to go on a diet once just because I don't like dieting and don't like cutting weight. I like competing when I'm feeling my best, so I just control at the division or the weight I'm currently, because when I arrived here I was 58, 59. That was the weight I was competing featherweight, and then with time I reduced my rhythm of training, so just gaining weight, enjoying life.
Dubai does that too.
yeah, just like less stress and everything else, so not worried too much about my weight. And I decided nearly 4 years ago to drop 1 division, and that meant to cut like 10 kg. So I wanted to check if I could do it, like the weight cut. So I had my nutritionist with me. She planned my diet. She took all of the assessments and everything she needed to it. I cut like in 4 weeks 10 kg. I felt good, but it was just an experiment. I don't like dieting.
How fast did it go back? Or did it go back?
Yes, because I think the last 3 kg, they were mostly water. Yeah, so that's the easiest
either
part.
The first 3 or last 3.
Yeah. Yes, but I was just having like certain amount of calories measured through the day properly. It was hell because I like carbs, so I just could reduce carbs through that period. And that was just a personal challenge of getting to less. Just to go to the extremes, because when you're in the last part of it, like, okay, it's not cutting, it's not going down anymore, and you get frustrated. And when it affects your brain, that's when you're like on your limit. But I usually don't follow any diet. I just try to have the balance between my carbs, proteins, and fat. Just to the level that I feel good, and I can have the energy of training either jiu-jitsu or working out or going surfing or anything, just to go up through my day without any restrictions. So no diet.
So and when you did that tournament that time, you made the weight.
Yes.
You made the weight division you wanted.
Yes, I even put like 1.5 lower because at that time we had to weigh with the gi.
And how were you feeling in the fight?
That's what I'm saying. So I was pretty debilitated a little bit just because of dehydration. I felt okay, but I could feel stronger on the day of the fight. Something happened that day. I can't remember much. I think I had a stomachache did prior to the competition. So I was feeling weaker than I was supposed to because I ate something that I shouldn't be eating. Just because I felt like it. I broke the diet after the weigh-in. And that affected my performance.
Okay, so the loading,
the rehydration.
I had. I think I had some meat or something that was kind of fat, and my stomach got upset about it. That's why I was feeling weak because I didn't put anything in. I was afraid of throwing up or something else, so I didn't have the energy for the thing. But I could move, lighter or something. I just don't like myself looking that skinny anymore.
Okay. Are the weigh-ins the same day or the previous day?
Depending on the tournament and the federation.
Usually IBJJF. I mean, IBJJF, it's always going to be same
weigh-in, same time. Weigh-in, going track, yes.
Yeah, so, and that's my main thing is it's like, my main focus is always going to be like the IBJJF circuit, like the Pans, the Worlds, the Europeans. So that's why like a few months ago, or before I fought the World Pro, I was walking around like 83, 84 kilos. Like I was pretty big, and then I had to make 77. So now it's like I have to make 76 in the gi. So technically I have to be like 74. So that's why now I'm walking.
That can change a lot, huh?
It changes a lot. So it's like now I walk around like 79, 80. So just to get down to that, I'm not dying as much. I'm not lifting as heavy, so I'm not as dense. I'd like to think like my strength is still the same or similar.
Okay, so let's say you're going down to, you said 73.5?
Usually like I'll do 73, 73 and a half, so I could carb load the day before.
Okay, so you do 73 out of your 79.
Yeah.
How long does it take?
I'll usually if I want to do it right, I'll give myself 8 to 10 weeks.
Okay.
So I don't cut the weight. I diet like
that's very reasonable.
That's
very good.
I'll start to be a little more controlled, obviously, with like I'll cut out all sugar minus fruit. I'll always break my fast with either grapefruit, blueberries, or pineapple because it's just the acidity.
So specific.
Yeah, just the acidity is like a natural fat burner to get your body kick-started. And then I'll cut out dairy. I don't really have dairy too much, but I'm pretty sure we all have a sweet tooth. So it's like I love chocolate. Okay, that's my problem. It's like I have the worst sweet tooth. So the first 10 days, 2 weeks of my diet, I'm like the most pissed off person. Like every little thing like annoys me because I'm just like, I want sweets. Once I pass that, even like 99% like dark chocolate tastes sweet.
When people are competing, as you said, like you can basically compete every weekend.
Yeah.
Depends on the preparation, depends on
your
like financial conditions.
Theoretically. Like these people, they can't be fluctuating in the diet too much, right? Like,
that's what I'm saying. They have to keep their weight like.
Or what I do for like smaller tournaments, I'll fight middleweight, and then for the 4 big tournaments in the year, I'll cut down to lightweight because
you get the volume reps experience in, but
exactly, and it's like I'm in between weight classes. It's like I'm too big for lightweight, I'm too small for middleweight, so it's like it's
a choice. You have to choose.
Okay.
That's annoying.
So that's how I approach it. It's like I try to compete at least once a month. Back home, I'll try to compete 1 to 2 times a month because there's more tournaments. And California is like very saturated, so there's a tournament every week. So but I don't believe you could stay at a low weight throughout the whole year because you're just gonna get hurt. If you're
malnourished,
if you're like 4 to 6% body fat the year round, you're gonna get hurt. So it's like you need fat to support your body.
That's what I'm saying. Like I don't do diet because I keep my weight through the year, basically
you feel
the
good
same.
When you train.
Yes, and even I'm training, I'm within the range of the division.
Yeah, exactly.
So if I a little bit like 1 or 2 kg up over, that's okay to cut for the tournament.
At
it's
that
not
point,
over too much because I don't have to diet.
Yeah,
that frustrates me. I don't like it. So it gets me like irritated. So I'm just keep a good level of training and strength conditioning before, just good to go. Don't have to worry about it.
Do you know some girls from community that are dieting like crazy and really always cutting down or stuff like that? Because generally for ladies it's way harder. and I would even say dangerous, because when they go below that 15-12 of the body fat, also the health issues might start, hormonal imbalances and so on.
I know a few, but usually they're kind of the same division through the whole year. They know like the division is, so they try to.
They walk around that way.
They walk around, yes. I know there are a few girls that use the AGP or the WTJF tournament, so they have the time to periodize, and then they cut weight into the lower division, because like if I'm kind of like 70 kg right now, I could go as lower as 62, and then the next day I would be like strong, close to my 70s again. So that would be like have an advantage,
I think,
on the division. So that's how they do it here. Yeah.
Usually the rule of thumb is, if you do it right, you can get in that one day. If the weight is in the day before, you can get 2/3 of the loss.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So
like example, World Pro, I weighed in at 76.5, and then the day of the tournament I was 82. Yeah. So
that makes difference.
It was for the same tournament when I cut down. I was 64, 65, and then I dropped until 50, 53 and a half to weigh 55 division. So and the day of the tournament, yes, I was 58, 59 the day of the tournament. Yeah.
I think the biggest issue with the day before weigh-ins, I don't like it for jiu-jitsu because people start doing stupid things. And it's always going to be people don't know how to rehydrate and refuel. And people either overeat or they eat the wrong things. And then they just don't feel good the next day. So, like, for example, it's I took bits and pieces of, like, guys from, like, the Tour de France, George Lockhart, and Dolce diet. Because, like, I have a couple friends in, like, the UFC, so I kind of, like, picked their brains, like, how do you guys rehydrate for day before weigh-ins? So they gave me like the steps, and it's literally 0 fat.
It's secret, yeah. You can't say
it's so simple. It's man, you know Vitargo, like the carb powder.
Yeah.
So what they do is they'll drink 20 grams of protein for 70 grams of carbs, and then they'll drink a kombucha right after, because that's going to help you digest. They do that 3 times. So
kombucha because of the enzymes. Right?
Yeah. So in a matter of 10 to 20 minutes, you're getting 60 grams of protein and 210 grams of carbs. And then you're going to feel shitty for like an hour. And then after that, your stomach's going to expand and you're going to be fine and you're going to be able to eat. But the problem is when people start eating, they start eating everything. You know, it's like you have to eat like...
That happened, yeah?
Yeah. And then you feel bloated, your stomach hurts, you get cramps. It's happened to me too. You know, it's like, it's trial and error for everyone. I feel like...
Mike, you are 30 now, right?
Yeah.
How many times in your whole BJJ career you were dropping and gaining back again?
Man, honestly, I was always skinny. So when I first started training until blue belt, I was fighting featherweight, which is 154 pounds. So
154, that's
69 kilos.
70 kilos. Yeah, 69, yeah.
So then at the end of blue belt until now, I've been fighting lightweight, which is 76 kilos, 77. I usually don't cut weight. I don't like it.
Okay.
I'd rather diet it off and have like that 8 to 10 week phase for big tournaments in a year. Other than that, it's like we were talking about. It's like if you're depleted, you're not going to be able to perform. You're not going to be able to recover. It's for the amount we train, like, I can't be on a diet year round. And it's like, I like food too much. I like cooking. I like steaks. You know, it's like everything I do back home is like barbecue every week. So,
hey, invite me.
Yeah. You guys have to come to LA.
Today you're going for a barbecue, right?
Yeah.
And you're fighting.
I'm going to eat fish, unfortunately.
That's what I want to ask. Because somewhere I read in the group, I read that you are offering the guys going for a barbecue, like, guys, no worries, I will cook something for you. So how does barbecue 2 days before tournament where you're dropping the weight looks like?
Yeah, no, that I definitely would not do, because like obviously red meat's going to retain water, it's going to be heavier to digest. So like what I'll do is towards like example today, and then tomorrow I won't eat because the weigh-in is at 4, so I'll just train and go weigh it and I'll eat after. But if my weight's really low, I'll start carb loading from the morning. But usually what I'll do is I tell people like rule of thumb during the day, you want to do like a fattier fish. So I'll do like salmon, tuna, whatever. Towards the night, I would do any whitefish because it's leaner. So I'll definitely avoid red meat when I'm trying to lose weight. And I personally like doing chicken thighs more than chicken breast because I keep my fats higher. So it's like I'd rather get more fat from the chicken so I don't have to pound down like 2 avocados a day. So it's just like situational. The only problem with being pescatarian is it gets expensive. So that's why I don't recommend it. Like, I mean, if you have the funds to eat fish year round, I prefer eating fish year round. In my opinion, it's the best thing to do. But it's going to be the leanest meat. It's going to be the cleanest meat, unless you're getting like farm raised stuff. But even red meat. The reason I don't eat steak over here, sorry to say it, but the meat quality in this country is like horrible. So it's like the meat I'm used to back home compared to the meat here. It's like I'm not used to my meat being like super red. I'm used to it having like.
Well, it's colored, right? So.
Yeah, fruit colored, whatever it is, So it needs to have that the fat on the meat. It needs to have the marbling, And I don't believe in eating red meat more than like twice a week, at least for me.
Back home in Brazil.
So in Brazil, I had access to pretty much all types of food. That's why like my taste buds, they are adjust for everything. And I don't like diet just because I like having the variety of food. So I can eat pork, I can eat meat, I can eat fish, I can eat, vegetables. I just have to eat what I feel like when I feel like.
Yeah.
So that's like a point of dieting, like having restrictions or reducing in one part, reducing the other part. That doesn't adjust in my mind. So no diet for me. I tried the experiment once. So I was having white meat, chicken, and white fish, and some like salmon as well, which I cannot eat until today because I just got bored of it.
Okay.
It's just a lot of.
It was too much at that time.
Yeah, so like
it's over now.
Yeah, 4 weeks, and I can look at some like it doesn't like
it's not advertising.
feels my eye. Yes, it's not good. But for food, I'm very easy.
I think it's just moderation.
Yeah.
It's anything in life. Everything's okay in moderation. So.
I like having the proportion of food, like for protein, for carbs, and for fat, in different ways. Like for me, I get bored if I eat the same thing over and over again. Yeah. Yes. So that affects my performance as well if I'm not allowed to eat what I want.
Yeah.
And what I like. Very simple things, but if you don't have access to that,
then mentally it bothers you.
Yeah, it does.
No.
It affects me.
Deborah, what would you say if you have to fight a guy in the tournament?
I was thinking about that actually when I was coming here because we talked about.
You thought this would be sparring?
No, not about that because I told you when I was starting BJJ, I was the only girl at the gym. Yes. And I only had guys to compete and to train. And then when I go to tournaments, I would have girls. And it was kind of shocking, the reality, the difference, yes. And I prefer training with guys rather than girls. But for the tournaments, I'd rather like fight a girl than a guy.
Because
it depends on the...
with a lot of trans people going into professional sport, the shock you got from training with guys, fighting with girls, just imagine that's reversed. Right? Training with girls and then have to fight somebody who is, with all respect, female in their perception, but you can't deny that they went through puberty and testosterone loading more similar to
the body.
Men.
Yes.
So, it's a tough one, huh?
It is tough. Like I said, it's really debatable, but if they wanted to introduce divisions, like special divisions, like they have for people of determination, so that wouldn't be separating men, women. Then you have that group, and then you had another group if you want to do it. But don't try to insert yourself when you're gonna have like natural advantage over someone else. I don't think it's fair personally.
I absolutely agree that there are
for sports
age belt, which is equivalent to experience, let's say, weight, and gender categories for obvious reasons, right?
You're trying to keep a well-balanced division for everyone to have a chance.
Just
to win.
because you claim now that you feel 55, they're probably not going to allow you to be in a 55 kilo category.
Yeah.
Right?
I think there would be some kind of doping if you have to go to that level. You know, that's kind of some cheating on it.
I heard one guy, not sure about the name, but guy. It was a trans
person,
person from man to woman, and she was playing tennis on certain level, and the only one who was able to stop her on the tournaments was Serena Williams. That's not fair.
The thing that people don't understand is it's like biologically, men, not to sound sexist, are superior to women when it comes to athleticism, strength,
power, bone
there
density.
are a lot of variables for
there's
that.
a lot of
actual metrics.
To a certain extent, not like the average person, but to go off like the weightlifters we were talking about, you know.
As there are girls who can beat men in training, that could happen in a tournament as well. But to be fair, you know, to the sport, I think the divisions, they should be respected. You know, like separated by gender. And if you want to introduce a new group to it, they would be responsible for waiting for their time to have more people in that division to participate. Yes, because I don't think that the approach would be like well received amongst the other players. That's my perspective, but I'm not into that context. I don't know much about it. You know, there's a lot of stuff compromised.
It's a lot of new stuff.
There's a reason we have like para jiu-jitsu. You know?
Yes, but so then for conditions,
like arms or legs, you know, like
but not because they chose to.
Yeah, not because they chose to, you know. But it's like they're still allowed to compete in like our divisions, but there's obviously an unfair disadvantage. So it's only fair that they have an equal playing field and having their own division. I don't see why this is any different.
That's inclusion. That's what I'm saying.
In judo, I believe even there is a judo division in Paralympics, right?
For
judo
blind,
for people with eye disparagement, right?
Yes, I have friends in Brazil with the physical disabilities. Like one of the girls, Duda, hi. She came to compete in the para jiu-jitsu here at World Pro once. She has part of her leg amputated, and she competed in the para jiu-jitsu division with girls within some another like physical disability as well. It could be part of like a lower limbs or upper limbs. Yes, so they can adjust for that. So that would be like completely disadvantageous for anyone. You know, there is a group for that, different modalities, different disabilities, so they can adjust and include everyone for that group. But I don't know how this transgender thing would apply into jiu-jitsu. I think I commented about training. That's fine, you know, because you can train like mixed group, men, women, so that's not gonna make much difference, like for a normal training session. But for a tournament or for events, there should be some legislation about that.
I pretty much put it in the same category as if you're doping, it's the same exact thing.
That's what I'm saying. It's doping.
It's you're changing your sex to male to female, but you're still 20 plus years of development as a male. No amount of hormones.
The important 20 years.
Yeah, the important 20 years is not going to be undone by whatever hormones you take. And I'm like, okay, so if you're going to try to take all those hormones so you could get your levels low enough to compete against women, then why can't women take testosterone or any other steroids to balance out this playing field? So, I mean, that's how I see it.
Yes. And then I think it should be taken in consideration what are your motives, your motivation into transitioning from man to woman or woman to man. Like, you're doing that personally for what purpose? Are you doing directly for sports? Is there are you changing? You're trying to change that just to compete?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I think it's difficult to understand the motivation behind that, because I can be involved in a masculine, dominant sport.
Yeah.
I'm a woman, yes. But should I just decide that I want to get the same levels of hormones or characteristics, especially that are manly, just to participate in the sport, or just because I feel better being myself? As
there definitely is body dysphoria, which is the state where, I think they call it correctly, gender dysphoria, where basically the perception of your physical body is different than how you see yourself as a person. It's it's kind of similar to what bodybuilders can have, or girls who end up anorectic, bulimic, when that's body dysmorphia, right? When they don't see the reality. They don't see that they are way too buff already, and they still think they are skinny. And girls on the opposite side, they are already looking like skeletons. And they still think that
there's a lot of psychological things.
This is psychological, and that it is in actually psychological textbooks as I don't want to say wrong perception of reality, but there is something about it, and it's an actual psychological state which we also have to I have no problem with that. If anybody feelings anyway, go for it. However, that doesn't mean that makes you eligible to compete
against a biological woman.
Against biological women in these very strongly unfair conditions. Because as we are talking, your rights are only going to a point where the other person's rights starts.
Exactly.
And I believe that at this moment, the rights of these ladies who are working their asses off for their whole life in certain field, and then somebody comes and swipes all the records, world records in the category by insane margins, that doesn't seem fair.
And I completely agree on that. And to even avoid all the controversy, the best example, we talked about before, is Bruce, Caitlyn Jenner, where even he or she said, I don't believe trans women should compete against biological women because they have an unfair advantage. They're born faster, they're born stronger, again, bone density. So it's it's not fair to, in my opinion, if we're going to talk about women's rights, equality, feminism, I think it's wrong to let men compete against women, because it's taking away all the rights and the fairness for the women, busting their ass off for 10, 15, 20 years for an Olympic medal, taken away by a man that's being a woman now.
Trying to convert.
Biologically.
Biologically.
Well, guys, thank you very much for coming. Thank you very much for sharing all of this. Loads of information, loads of fun. Mike, good luck with your tournament on Sunday. Well, hopefully you will not need luck. You know what I mean. And that's a wrap. So staying healthy and getting stronger.
That's the point. Thank you.